Epson has been a staple in my home theater for the past 8 years, starting with the 5040UB, followed by the LS12000, and now with my QB1000. Epson has always been a leader in lumen output, offering a beautifully bright picture at an affordable price, and the QB1000 is no different. I've been putting the QB1000 through its paces for the past 6 months, and I've enjoyed every viewing session, both SDR and HDR content, with the brightest image I've ever had in my theater, bar none. But Epson projectors haven't always had the best reputation when it comes to black levels, sharpness, and tone mapping compared to the competition. Sitting in the middle of Epson's newest projector lineup, the QB1000 now offers 300 more lumens over the LS12000 at 3300, dynamic HDR, and HDMI 2.1 for gamers. So how does it stack up against the competition when paired with MadVR's most affordable video processor, the NV Core? Let's discuss. A big thank you to MadVR for sponsoring this video. If you want to pick up an Epson QB1000, you can purchase one with our channel partner, The Grid Hi-Fi. Links in the description. And if you want to purchase any MadVR products, including the NV Core, visit the website in the description to be connected with the local dealer. But first, let me tell you about the gear I'm using. For my screen, I'm using a 110-inch acoustically transparent Enlighter Neo 1.0 game material from Seymour Screen Excellence. Video and screenshots are being played back on a Kaleidoscope and a Zudu Ultra HD 8000. And disclaimer, I am not a calibrator. The Epson has not been calibrated. When switching between the different Epson picture profiles, dynamic contrast on the Epson will be set to high with scene adaptive gamma set to 2, light output at 65%, and all other picture settings are out of the box. And when switching between the MadVR and the Epson, I'll be using HDMI 1 in the QB1000 going straight into the HDMI pass-through on the NV Core, which turns off all the processing on the core so you can see exactly what the Epson is doing on its own. This is to show you the differences in effectiveness between the Epson's dynamic tone mapping versus the MadVR. The brightness setting on the Epson will be the same across the board, and the MadVR will be displayed using MadVR's Epson setup guide from their MadVR Online Academy on YouTube, utilizing the recommended natural color profile with some tweaks to various settings. For the settings, you'll notice that this looks exactly like the Epson LS12000B. This really hasn't changed very much. There are a couple other things that are a little bit different, but for the most part, the settings is exactly the same as the LS12000B. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I just want to show you the options that you have. So when you hit menu, you'll notice that you have a frequently used items, which is very handy. So if you don't need to cycle through, some of the other options that you have over there, then, you can just go straight over to your color mode, which most people will probably be doing when they hit the menu. So right now I'm on natural, and this is the setting that I'm using for the MadVR, but you have dynamic, you have vivid, cinema, and natural. And then under each color mode, you have your brightness, contrast, color saturation, tint, sharpness, white balance, frame interpolation. You can turn that on or off. You've got dynamic contrast. You can do high speed, normal, or off. You've got image enhancement, so you can turn that to any one of 5 different presets. Scene adaptive gamma, you've got 0 all the way over to 20. Gamma correction, you've got 2, 1, 0, -1, -2 custom, and reset. You've got your RGB CMY, so you can change those settings there. Under source, you can switch from HDMI 1 or HDMI 2. Right now I'm on HDMI 2. Aspect, you have auto, full, zoom, anamorphic wide, horizontal squeeze. Under signal IO, you've got your source. You've got signal format, so you can change that from auto, limited to 16 to 35, or full 0 to 55. You've got overscan, so you can do auto, off, 4%, 8%. Color space, you can do auto, BT709 or BT2020. For dynamic range, you can do auto, SDR, HDR10, HDR10 Plus, or HLG. Image processing, you have auto, fine, or fast. HDMI in EQ level, You have auto, low, medium, or high. And you'll notice to the right, the projector will tell you what each setting does. For EDID, you have HDMI 1 and HDMI 2, and you can change this from up to 4K 120 to 40 gigabits per second, or you can go down to 4K 60 at 18 gigabits per second, 4K 60 at 10 gigabits per second, or 2560 1080 at 21:9. And then you can turn HDR10 Plus on or off. Under installation, you can pull up your test pattern so you can display the position, and you can make adjustments here. You can do color isolation, red, green, and blue, so your RGB. You can change the projection from front, rear, front ceiling, or rear ceiling. You can do your geometry correction with your keystone here, quick corner, or point correction. You can do blanking from top to bottom, left or right. Under operation, you've got light output, so right now I'm at 65%. You've got your direct power on mode, sleep mode, standby mode, indicators, trigger, and then under management, you've got your lens lock. So once you find the lens position, you can lock it. Make sure that nobody changes it. You've got child lock, control panel lock, color uniformity. Again, these are all pretty similar, so I'm not going to focus much on that, but you have your network, then you have your memory where you can set your memory position. So you can save, you can load, you can rename, you can erase or reset. Now for the settings on the MadVR, so if we hit the OK button, the OK button will bring up the incoming signal info, and then at the bottom you'll see your help. So it'll tell you some things that you can do by pressing one of the buttons. But we see the incoming signal info. You've got your resolution, frame rate, pixel format, HDCP version. You've got levels, colorimetry, 3D, transfer function, HDR metadata, signal aspect ratio, movie aspect ratio, source device type, source device name, content type. So this is your incoming signal info. If we scroll over to the right, you'll see your outgoing signal info. You've got resolution, frame rate, pixel format, HDCP version, levels, colorimetry, 3D, transfer function. And if we go over to the right again, you have display info, you have manufacturer, product name, native resolution, max pixel clock, HDMI 2.1. You have your bit depth, your YCB CR formats, 3D formats, wide gamuts, HDR formats, dynamic metadata, video delay, audio delay. And we have system info, so it's going to tell you the NV model. You have your serial number, registered user, then you have your temperatures that you can monitor, your allocated RAM, your IP address, and your MAC address. And if we press the menu button, you've got your display configuration. So you can see your resolution is 3840 by 2160. Preferred bit depth is 10 to 12. You've got your color space. You've got your levels, black level, white level, measured, peak, luminance. And if you go down, you can adjust all these here. So these are the adjustments that I have made to the MadVR for my Epson QB1000. So I'm not going to make any changes here, but you've got some options there that you can change. Black level, white level. Here you can do your display calibration. So if you have a 3D LUT, you can load that there. You've got transfer function HDR. You've got your gamut. Click on that. You got some different options there. HDR flag, you've got auto, off, and on. And then under brightness, you can change your settings, contrast, saturation, red saturation, blue saturation. Under screen configuration, you can set your screen boundaries. So you can do base profile, none, or custom. You can run your assistant. So at the bottom you'll see it says the screen boundaries lets you define the exact aspect ratio of your display. You've got convergence correction, anamorphic lens, shift image. You've got your black bar configuration. So this is where you would adjust for the nonlinear stretch. So you've got your black bar detection speed. You've got slow, medium, fast, very fast, or ludicrous. You can select whether to detect the kaleidoscope menu. You've got small black bar reduction. You've got none 100%. Large black bar reduction. So you've got 5%, and then you've got 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. And then you can make some adjustments. If black bars change, you can have it change to adjust at once or pick a constant zoom. Quickly back and forth, you've got adjust at once, adjust delayed, or pick constant zoom. Under subtitle handling, you've got ignore subtitles, show subtitles, and then you've got some other options there. And you've got top zoom stickiness, bottom zoom stickiness. So if you select that, you've got different options there. Under your custom zoom configuration, so you've got all your pretty much different aspect ratios. So you can run an assistant here. Let's say I'm watching a 2:35:1, so I can hit run assistant, and then it'll show you at the bottom the custom zoom configuration allows you to define a custom zoom setup for each movie aspect ratio. If you have a screen masking system, you can also choose which preset you want to use for each aspect ratio. Now you'll notice this is a 2:35:1 image. You see your black bars there. Right now it's at active, no, but if I scroll over, I can choose between left top crop, right bottom crop, center stretch, horizontal nonlinear stretch area, horizontal nonlinear stretch strength, vertical nonlinear stretch area, vertical nonlinear stretch strength. And then you'll notice if you adjust any of these, you'll see the image start to change. So if I keep going, you'll notice that the black bars are starting to get smaller. And you can adjust this to pretty much however you want. And you'll see some of the bars will change according to how you make your adjustments. So those are your custom zoom configurations. You've got your HDMI configuration, so you can save or load stored EDIDs. You got your HDMI input, lip sync correction, EDID override, and slow YC BCR handshake. And then you've got your remote control configuration, device IP control configuration, menu configuration, settings management, power and cooling configuration, firmware update configuration, and then we're back to our display configuration. Let's take a look at some examples and comparisons of dynamic tone mapping between the Epson and the MadVR and why you'd want to go with a dedicated processor. If we look at the movie Alpha, which I believe was mastered at 1000 nits on Sony's flagship mastering monitor that supports up to 4000 nits, this movie has some beautiful yet challenging HDR scenes to reproduce for any display, especially projectors. Pay attention to the sun in the background. While it might be difficult to see in a compressed YouTube video, in person you'll be able to see different gradations of the sun's rays as it emanates outward over the horizon. You'll also see detail in the clouds and how well the MadVR reproduces the contrast between the sky, the brightness of the sun and its rays as it peaks above the horizon, the hazy dusk, and the actors' faces enclosed in the foreground. If we look at the different color profiles on the Epson versus the MadVR, you can see how much the tone mapping falls short in comparison to the MadVR. The MadVR stays consistent while the Epson struggles to reproduce all the different contrasting images on screen. Dynamic mode brightens the entire image, blowing out the highlights. Cinema mode and vivid mode are also overly bright. The vivid profile actually looks a bit more natural than the other two profiles, but with a more washed out and flat look and a more greenish hue. The dynamic and cinema mode have a more orangish hue with unnatural skin tones, while all three profiles lose a considerable amount of detail in the sky, and the sun basically blends into the background on all three Epson profiles while not looking nearly as bright and vibrant, and you lose all the gradations from the sun. Now, it's worth noting that when compared to the LS12000 that has static HDR, the QB1000 actually does a good job and is a much needed step up in dynamic tone mapping, but pales in comparison to the accuracy of the MadVR core. Popping in the Spears and Munsil Ultra HD benchmark disc and taking a look at how the MadVR and the Epson handles different ranges of nits, you can see at 1000 nits the MadVR does an excellent job of preserving detail in the background with the hills and the trees, and in the foreground with the snow, and you can see all the individual grass blades, all while accurately reproducing color accuracy. The Epson on its own loses a ton of detail across the board on all profiles. The background gets washed out and most of the trees are not visible, and you lose a lot of color accuracy, and most of the blades of grass in the foreground either blend in or get lost entirely, and this is the same across 1000 nits, 2000 nits, and 10,000 nits. And finally, let's look at one of my most anticipated features, non-linear stretch. Here's a close-up of Paul Atreides from Dune Part 2 in a 2:3:5:1 aspect ratio with magnetic masking panels from Seymour Screen Excellence. For 2:3:5:1 content, I'm probably going to stick with the masking panels, and for everything else that's not as wide as 2:3:5:1, I'll do custom settings depending on the aspect ratio, and I'll explain why. The non-linear stretch configuration is a great tool for eliminating those pesky black bars while also improving perceived contrast. For me, I found that at 100% and even 75% nonlinear stretch on 2:3:5:1 aspect ratio, I can see the stretch whenever someone or objects are near the edges of the screen. So for 2:3:5:1 content, I'm sticking with my masking panels, and for less wider aspect ratios, I can fine-tune the stretch at a lower percentage. And of course, you can fine-tune each aspect ratio with customizations on how the nonlinear stretch stretches that you saw earlier. Here's some side-by-side comparisons of nonlinear stretch deactivated, 25% nonlinear stretch, 50%, and 100%. On its own, the QB1000 projects a bright, detailed, colorful, and beautiful image with a noticeable improvement in HDR tone mapping over its predecessor, the LS12000B. Investing in a more budget-friendly projector like the Epson QB1000 can be a compelling option compared to higher-end models from JVC and Sony due to several key advantages. 1. Higher brightness. The QB1000 pretty much puts every other projector in its class to shame with a significant brightness of 3300 lumens for both color and white output. In comparison, many JVC projectors, even some of their higher-end models, offer brightness levels ranging from 1900 to 2500 lumens, with a few exceptions reaching 3300 lumens in their flagship models at a much more significant higher price. The higher brightness on the QB1000 can be particularly beneficial for viewing in rooms with some ambient light or when projecting onto larger screens, and if you've got a dedicated home theater that's light controlled, well then you're guaranteed to get an incredibly vibrant and impactful image. Price point. As was mentioned, the QB1000 is positioned as a more budget-friendly option compared to many high-end JVC and Sony projectors. And if we look at comparably priced projectors with the JVC NZ500 priced at $6499 and the Sony 5000 ES priced at $6000, the QB1000, while it doesn't provide as sharp of an image or give you the deepest blacks compared to JVC and Sony, the QB1000 at a few hundred to $1,000 more is going to give you more bang for the buck, especially if you plan on projecting onto a massive screen. You're going to need those extra lumens. And Epson finally gives you dynamic HDR tone mapping with the ability to calibrate with Kalman for fine-tuning. Now, some of you will still browbeat Epson for excluding native 4K chips into their projectors, but having seen pretty much every big name projector in person, from my experience, the advancements in pixel shifting technology has only gotten better with each model. And again, while the image is definitely not as sharp as JVC and Sony, Epson has proved the ability to achieve a sharp and detailed Ultra HD image from a native lower resolution panel that results in an impressive perceived resolution and detail that can be very close to native 4K. And unless you're looking at multiple projectors side by side, most people won't even be able to tell the difference. Like the QB1000, the MadVR NV Core represents a significant step forward in more affordable HDR video processing, especially when paired with a solid projector with more than enough brightness for those of you who have a dedicated light-controlled home theater and want a better experience compared to the internal HDR processing like the Epson QB1000. Where the MadVR NV Core really shines is its dynamic tone mapping. MadVR video processors use a sophisticated frame-by-frame dynamic tone mapping, analyzing each frame of HDR content in real time and adjust the brightness and contrast dynamically to extract the maximum detail from both the brightest highlights and the darkest shadows by using advanced algorithms like contrast recovery, highlight recovery, and shadow detail recovery, ensuring optimal contrast and detail within every scene, closely matching the director's intent. While the QB1000 for the first time offers dynamic tone mapping and is a much improved step up over its static tone mapping predecessor, the LS12000, it's clear that the QB1000's processing is far less advanced than what the NV Core offers. While it does improve upon static tone mapping, the QB1000 is just not going to be able to reveal the same level of nuance and detail in challenging HDR content as the NV Core. This is due to the MadVR utilizing powerful hardware and proprietary cutting-edge algorithms developed specifically for high-end video processing, allowing for incredibly precise adjustments and the implementation of advanced techniques to optimize the HDR image. The QB1000's internal processor is designed to handle a range of tasks, and while it's capable for a projector, videophiles who want the most out of their QB1000 with those extra 300 lumens will find that its processing power and the sophistication of its HDR algorithms will fall drastically short to matching that of a dedicated high-end video processor like the NV Core. MadVR Core also offers a suite of other advanced processing features that enhance the overall picture quality, including nonlinear stretch to intelligently minimize or even eliminate black bars on various aspect ratios without introducing significant distortion. So, if you want to maximize your home theater and unlock a stunning, big screen HDR experience without breaking the bank by combining the Epson QB1000's class-leading brightness with the MadVR NV Core, the NV Core's advanced dynamic tone mapping can elevate the QB1000's already vibrant image and reveal incredible detail and nuance in HDR content that the QB1000's internal processing just can't achieve, delivering a truly impressive home theater experience on a budget. So after spending a good amount of time with the Epson QB1000 and the MadVR NV Core, it's clear that while the Epson offers a fantastic and bright picture for its price, especially with that much appreciated dynamic HDR, the NV Core takes the image quality to another level. If you're looking at the QB1000 and are serious about getting the absolute best out of your HDR content on a big screen and want to see every last bit of detail as the filmmakers intended, then pairing the QB1000 with the MadVR NV Core is definitely the way to go. You get that incredible Epson brightness, and with an NV Core, you can elevate the QB1000 to a refined HDR experience. It's a winning combination that punches well above its weight. Let me know what you think of the QB1000 NV Core combo, and if you found this review helpful, don't forget to like and share and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.